Kyubey did nothing wrong. This isn't a meme, that's actually true if you look at it objectively. But that's only one small reason why this cute turned horrifying alien creature is a perfect antagonist against Madoka, the other magical girls, and sometimes the entire world. In this video, we're going over why Kyubey from Madoka Magica is the perfect antagonist, like the title says. I assume that's why you clicked on it. To make a great antagonist, you first need presence. It can either be overwhelming like Darth Vader and Bondrewd, or something more intellectually dangerous like Paristin or Makishima Shogo. Either way, the best villains will make you feel scared or tense just from them being in the room. Whatever the style of the antagonist, they need to at least be interesting whenever they are on screen. Every minute with Kyubey is wonderful. He has a special kind of charm. Instead of humanizing him, he is incomprehensible. He is seemingly just a magic creature here to help humanity fight witches, a sidekick that helps start the story. But in the second half of the anime, he gives off a completely different vibe. However, we'll get to that in a minute. He's also just cute and friendly, with a nice design reminiscent of a generic stuffed toy you'd find in an anime shop. But if you hear anything about Madoka Magica, it's often that most people hate Kyubey. The first reason for this is that he is a twist villain. Twist villains have become such a trope that it is extremely difficult to do them well. Having a character that spends a lot of time with the main characters, acting like a friend, to then rip off a mask and say, "It was me all along," tends to not only make a likable character unlikable, but also cheapen the entire story until that point. Kyubey is a little different though, because he never really betrays them. From his perspective, he never did anything wrong. He treated Madoka and the others fairly. He can't even comprehend why they are so bothered by what he does. When Kyubey's true intentions are first revealed, we learn that to fight the laws of entropy, he creates magical girls who explode into witches. The energy that they release is greater than what it takes to get them to that point, thus being the greatest renewable energy source. While literally destroying the souls of middle school girls for renewable energy is arguably extremely evil, from the really big picture perspective, this is the best for all of life. This is the other reason Kyubey is so hated. He doesn't experience emotions like humans, and the only feeling we really see him express is surprise in a few key scenes. Otherwise, he doesn't feel remorse, he doesn't have any sympathy, and he doesn't worry about failing. Because he's not written to be sympathetic, even in the slightest, Kyubey feels terrifyingly real. There is no malice or hatred coming from him, but the actions he takes, as part of his job, his place in the universe, causes so much pain and suffering for the magical girls. And he doesn't care about it at all. During one of the timelines, Madoka becomes a witch so powerful that it will destroy all of Earth. While this isn't ideal to him, Kyubey is perfectly fine knowing he caused it to happen, because with this, he met the energy quota. Kyubey isn't a very complex or sympathetic character, which is a huge reason why he's the perfect antagonist for the very complex and very sympathetic magical girls. This gives him such a terrifying presence in the second half of the story. Instead of the cute little creature that grants wishes and helps humanity fight witches, he now has a dangerous and chilling vibe. If Madoka had just come up with a wish, accepting an offer from what seemed to be a kind stranger, she would be cursed to lose her soul, like a deal with the devil. But Kyubey doesn't represent the devil. He isn't a force of pure evil. He represents life. The cruel realism of life. Now, I don't like making sweeping statements like that. Kyubey isn't a metaphor, he's a character, but the cruelty of life is explored through him. Life needs energy, and energy is gained through consuming other life. We take animals, fatten them up, and then slaughter them to be eaten. But this allows the animals to live a comfortable, safe existence without fear and without a long, painful death from disease or being eaten alive by another animal. Logically, it's a better life than one in the wild. This is the argument Kyubey makes. This concept cannot be overcome. There's no way to gain energy without taking it from somewhere. So you can't even objectively say Kyubey is wrong or evil. If this is what it takes, should he just leave the rest of life in the cosmos to shrivel and die? It's not just that he makes some interesting points, it's that he's right. And it's not like he forces them to take his offer either. As Kyubey says to Madoka, "If you ever feel like dying for the sake of the universe, call me. I'll be waiting." The point at which an antagonist loses what makes them so cool and menacing is the point at which they are defeated. Although technically the protagonist, but also the villain, Light Yagami's end in Death Note is a sad and pitiful one, and the technical antagonist of the story, L, seems to be an amazingly brilliant detective, until we see him unceremoniously killed as well. But Kyubey is not an evil enemy to be defeated. He never loses what makes him so chilling. He can't even die, as Homura learned. Kyubey is an unbeatable force. He cannot be overcome, he can only be accepted. In this way, he is more of an eldritch horror, a powerful force that you can only hope you never see. In the end, they were simply fighting against the cruelty of life. Homura's work did lead to something, and Madoka made a wish that changed the way the world works. But even this didn't defeat Kyubey. It wasn't even a moral victory over his ideology. Magical girls still die, but they no longer turn into witches. It did make the world a little better. With all that power, she did the best she could do, and overcame some of the cruelty. But even after Madoka rewrote the world, altered the fabric of reality, and became some kind of trans-dimensional being, Kyubey was still there. Thanks for watching. Check out my previous video on the specific episode of Madoka Magica that made it into a masterpiece. Subscribe and consider becoming a member for bonus perks. Ciao, meow.